It breaks my heart whenever I hear people say like, well, we have to get back to the office because we're paying for this real estate. You know, there's so much that comes into play with having people in an office, and you know, all employees are different. Every different type of person that has every different type of job, like your work styles are different, which is why it's so important to have different types of spaces within, you know, the footprint of your office where people can work in different styles. I think that it makes sense for, you know, certain employees to be remote workers. A lot of people are more efficient at home and, you know, kind of enjoy that peace and quiet time, and that makes sense for a lot of people. For me and everyone that I work with, we were going crazy at home. Like, we thrive off of collaborating together and learning from each other, and we just did not work well at home. So I think that you have to have space for people who thrive off of being, you know, around other people and work better in that type of environment. Like, they have to have somewhere to go. And I know everyone's not that way, so I think that's what's so important about kind of having so many different types of ways to work in an office. There's so many different ways that you can do that, even in like the open office footprint. You don't even have to say, this area is for collaboration, or this area is for heads down. You know, you feel it, you see it when you walk by, like, you know, this is where I want to go if I need to have some production time or a private conversation, versus this is where I'm going to go whenever I need to be collaborating with my team and like we're trying to come up with cool ideas. You're not going to do that in the quiet space, you know, and the furniture speaks to that. Like, you don't have to have a title on every room that says exactly what it is, for sure.
You need to be looking at your team and how they work and how it can best balance them and their work styles, and truly focusing on what tools do they need to be successful. How do I help them stay healthy? Because the best thing about working from home is that you got to go out and take a walk, you know, during your lunch break or anything else like that. You didn't have the stress of the early morning commute. You got that time added back into your day. And when you give time back to your people, it turns out that they're way more productive because they feel like, oh, this is some balance. I can kind of control stuff. I think it's really important in corporate environments to incorporate things like biophilia, you know, adding in plants to your space, being able to have a playful environment rather than just the stagnant cube form that everybody sees over and over again. Nobody really wants that. So kind of having some level variation, not only for privacy, but visual. Like we were saying, how private offices have clear glass. You can still see that clear line of sight. So you still have that connectivity, but you're still having that privacy. It gives that sense of what we call visual privacy. Companies are always hiring, but then at the time that they're always investing in a space for their employees, they don't always know what their floor print is going to look like in the long run. So how do you prepare for a floor print that promotes growth but still covers everybody that's still in-house?
Well, I think that a big part of it comes down to like just the size of the space, right? Like if you're leadership and you're working on this new space that you're going to be in, you have to have enough seats for everyone that's going to be there. And then you have the areas that are left over after that. And then it's like, how are you going to use that? I think that number one was transitioning like some huddle rooms that were more of your typical conference rooms into an area that felt a little more like loungy. So let's say that you have, you know, a large company might have 10 huddle rooms. So they would say like, maybe we could make 3 of them something that we could do like some modular furniture or a lounge chair in, and just kind of test it and see how that worked. So that's really what it started. Obviously the pods are a big deal. Areas that just felt like you can remove yourself from the open office, and you know, a lot of it has to do with the noise too. People walking by and kind of, you know, distracting your attention, but somewhere that people could go also and collaborate. Because if you are coming to the office, there's a few reasons that a company needs you in the office, right? Like collaboration is a big part of that. So if we're wanting you to come to the office and collaborate and be creative, come up with new ideas, but everyone's stuck at their desk, or you're in like a boardroom that doesn't really like spawn creativity, then what are we doing to help out there, you know? So I think that's a big part of like those lounge areas too, is like, let's make it comfortable, let's make it fun, let's make it to where people feel like they can be creative. Something that I like try to bring to the table is proposing products that are different than just an everyday lounge chair, right? So a lot of chairs, you know, can be a little stiff, but some of them have a reclining feature. Maybe you push a button and you can recline it a little bit, or maybe it has like a little bit of a tilting mechanism, or maybe it's an actual rocker. Which, I mean, years ago, no one would be putting a rocker in their workplace, but now, like, we do rockers quite a bit. We were talking earlier about ottomans and being able to put your feet up on something, you know? So it's not just, like, they can tell me I want a lounge chair, but how far are we actually willing to take that? You know, do you want it to just be a lounge chair, or do you want it to be something that can recline and you can have an ottoman, pull up a laptop table to it, and someone can actually really be casual while they're working, but comfortable, which also makes you a little bit more creative.
So a big trend that we've been seeing thus far is kind of having, there's two different trends that I've been seeing. A private office that has a dual purpose. So you could have two hoteling stations and leaving them open, so just two open desking units, but perhaps it's on like a beam, and the tables have casters so that if they're not being used as two hoteling private office scenarios for somebody to come in, drop their bag, work from the day, then go home, they're on casters, so you can push the tables together and possibly have media conferencing on the wall to where it could be utilized for a conference whenever it's not being used as a hoteling station. Having that still 10 by 12 private office typical floor print, but being able to automatically within 30 seconds transform it into conference space at the drop of a hat whenever all of the rooms are booked, because you know that always happens, has been a really big thing. Conferencing has been huge because people want the rooms to be able to collaborate. I feel like workstations is the heads down focused area of, hey, this is my quiet time, I really need to focus on the work and tasks at hand. But the open collaboration spaces, even if it's in a private office environment, you don't have to close the door. You can still push the desks together and work together about, hey, I need to talk through this project. Will you help me problem solve for this? Technology needs for conferencing is huge right now. So we've seen a lot of people come with a technology setup where technology is integrated to the side of the table. The technology can move up and down with the table itself, so it can be in a seated height or a counter height or a standing height application. This is great because it not only encourages people to stand up and kind of have a different posture while they're sitting throughout the day, but it produces and promotes efficiencies in meetings, because if you're standing, you're going to stay real focused and stay on task, but it still allows your media and technology with the connectivity to be with you at all times because it's connected to that table. So rather than defacing like your architecture and your beautiful building that you just paid for, you have the furniture there that is meeting all of your technology needs, the flexibility, and promoting great ergonomic health for your employees. So having your corporation invest in the right furniture type can really make or break a space, because if you have the exact same thing over and over and it's just cookie cutter and not individualized, you're not going to get that true sense of, oh, this is a really curated solution for my office that I'm really working for.